to the bread store. Oh my God! Oh, I'm gonna start climbing. This is requiring a great deal of effort. There's a bread store at the top of this. My zipper got caught. Instead of being polite to you right now, because I respect you, and because we only have so much time on this earth, I am going to be honest with you. Because I like you. And I think you deserve it. I think you deserve me being honest with you. I want you to understand what's happening. I really doubt, I gotta tell you, I really doubt at this late stage in the game that there is a Bible verse that somebody's gonna throw out at me that is going to change everything. Sometimes people, it's like ninja stars. They have these Bible verses and they're just gonna toss them out there and see where they land. Just being completely honest with you because of how much I appreciate you. Send a message that says, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 1. The power of God is through prayer. It's a very nice thought. But at this late stage in the game, I don't see how it could mean anything. I want you to understand what's happening right now. It's not that I don't believe in the Bible. It's not that I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe any of this is happening. None of this is real to me. When I walk down the street, I don't believe anything I see. Everything that's in front of my eyes is fake. This is all dream sequence stuff to me. Every morning I get dressed, I go to McDonald's, but I'm going through the motions. I don't believe it's actually happening. I just don't know what else to do. It's all mechanized, like interactive wallpaper. It's, in my opinion, it's all a computer program. And I continue because I don't know what else to do. I believe that we are all in a snow globe. And that snow globe is sitting on the coffee table of a reptilian. We are all in a computer chip that some reptilian has on his nightstand. And once in a while he gets it out and plays with it. I don't even know that any of you are real. I think I'm real. Am I a wallpaper in some kid's bedroom somewhere? Is this a cartoon? Is this a cartoon that's happening? I'll give you an example. We'll just start from the beginning. Here's the situation. You're at your house. And JW comes to visit you. And you're sitting on the couch and he looks over and he says, "You have a lamp on your table." And you say, "Yeah, it's a table lamp." You say, "You must not have read the most recent Watchtower. It brought out that lamps are of pagan origin." And you're like, "What?" "Lamps originated in ancient Egypt and they were used for spiritistic purposes." And you say, "Oh, that's interesting. Oh, no, I didn't catch that article." And the JW says, "Well, are you just going to sit there?" And you're like, "What? Do you need me to help you carry that lamp outside?" And you're like, "Wait, let me get this straight. You read an article in Watchtower magazine, and now I'm supposed to go around the house, collect every lamp in my house, carry them outside, break them into pieces, and put them in the dumpster. That's what you want me to do?" By the way, this is not a theoretical conversation. People have had they've had variations of this actual conversation with many JWs in full astonishment. This is not a wild speculation. This is the thing that has happened. Obedience and submission. That's what the Jehovah thing is all about. And Jehovah's Witness, they will argue with you, and then they will finally concede the point that it comes down to obedience. You will reason with them, break down their silliness until they finally say, it's about being obedient to Jehovah's organization and obedience. What is obedience? Is that the act of obedience that Satan demanded from Jesus when he took him to a high mountain? Is that the same obedience that's translated as worship in other Bibles? When you give someone your complete obedience, are you not doing an act of worship to that person, regardless of who they are? Maybe some people out there are not okay with worshiping someone on the face of the earth. That's not good enough for a JW. And they will cut you off. You don't want to take your lamp outside and break it in pieces, bury it in the ground? This is a friendship ender.
I finally made it to the top. What a workout. Yeah.
I can't be a God-fearing person. I don't got what it takes. To be religiously minded, you must have faith. Faith of a titan. I have, brothers, on a Richter scale of faith, I'm somewhere around -17 million these days. Just telling it like it is. I have zero faith, less than zero. It's way down there. Got none. Not gonna have any. And I certainly do not have faith in the Watchtower Society, brothers. Why would I? Why would I put faith in somebody that's got $1 billion? And nobody out there is supposed to have $1 billion. If you're a Christian, you're not supposed to have $1, mister. You are not really supposed to have a penny to rub against another penny. $1 billion? It's not just that they have $1 billion. It's where the $1 billion came from. That's my $1 billion. The people sitting next to me at the hall. Jehovah didn't do any janitorial jobs. Watchtower Society didn't do any janitorial jobs. You want to know where $1 billion came from? It came from janitors. Working themselves to death. Jesus said, if you want to follow him, here's what you must do. Sell your belongings and give the money to the poor. Watchtower Society is not selling their $1 billion, giving it to the poor. The rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses are not going to sell their stuff, give the money to the poor. And you know what else? I'm not selling my stuff and giving it to the poor. Why? You may ask? Well, a few different reasons. First of all, if I give my money to the poor, then I'll be the poor. And second of all, I have no faith in the saving power of Jehovah. I've never seen Jehovah help someone out of a jam. But more importantly, I have no faith in the saving power of Jehovah's people. You think Jehovah's people are lining up to help you? If you hit a stretch of bad road, I know better. Now, if you talk to a JW, imagine you're having a conversation with a Jehovah's Witness, and you tell them that you're going to sell your belongings, you're quitting your job, and you're going to spend the remainder of this system of things in the preaching work. they would say to you,
I think that's a fine attitude. I congratulate you. Jehovah will certainly bless your efforts.
and so you say, okay, well, are you going to do it with me? What do you think their answer is? They know better. Why? Here's why. Back in the 1920s, all the way up to the 60s, 70s, and even up into the 80s, there were multitudes of people who did take the Watchtower's sage advice, and they sold the farm. And they used every last penny to pioneer service. And you know what happened to those people? They ended up living in a wagon. Their home was a wagon out in the field. They were living on handouts. You know how the Bible says that if you put Jehovah first, your cup will run over? You will be rewarded 100 times over. Well, in my experience, when some poor fool decides to take Jehovah up on this offer, let me stop right here. Before every summer district convention, almost every congregation will have somebody quit their job. You see, when a JW gets a job, they stipulate to their employer that they must be available for Saturdays and Sundays to go for kingdom work. They can't work on Saturdays and Sundays like the other employees. Also, they do need to leave early on Tuesday and Thursday evenings for kingdom events. And it's just the JW, that's the demand you place before you get a job. And then the JW has this job for a couple of months until an impasse will arise. The JW informs his employer that he requires a week off from work for an assembly or maybe for the CO's visit. He wants to work out in service with the CO, so he tells his employer he needs a week off. And the employer says, well, I don't know what a CO's visit is, but you haven't been working here long enough to demand vacation time. I'm sorry. And the JW says, in that case, I'll have to choose Jehovah. And he walks out the door. And the employer is like, what just happened? The employer that has thus far accommodated the religious demands of this nutty little person. Why? Why do JWs do this? Well, here's why. At every convention and every assembly, they hear experiences from the stage. Experiences from the year before. Of JWs who requested time off from their job to attend the assembly, and when their boss said no, they quit their job and put Jehovah first. Well, it turns out okay, though, because about a month after they quit their jobs, guess what? They get a phone call. It's from their old boss, the job they just quit. And he says he needs them back because they are better than the other employees, because of their honesty, their work ethic, and that their old boss says, I've got to have you back. He offers them a 30% raise and a promotion and a bonus. Tells them from now on they will have flex time and they'll never have to miss a meeting or field service again. And the people in the audience hear this and they look at each other and they clap and they smile. It's a very warm moment. It's a big JW family moment. And the crowd loves it. And, by the way, this exact experience is given from the stage year after year after year after year. It's incredible. The exact same scenario has played out annually, year after year, in every circuit, in every district. It's incredible. This exact experience over and over again. Well, that's just how Jehovah works it. And after every assembly, there are JWs who will quit their jobs. They actually abandon their source of employment because they heard in the talk that's given at every assembly, the man on the stage who asked the question to the audience, what prevents you from pioneering? And the little JW sitting in there in the audience, they will do a silent introspect. They will take inventory of their little daily life and realize that it's their job that prevents them from putting the kingdom first. And so they will quit, or take reduced hours, or take a cut in pay and get a new job that won't support them. But how does it work out for them? Well, let me tell you. About a year and a half later, they're living in someone's garage. And they're poor, and they're penniless. After a year of breaking their backs in the kingdom work, they're left destitute. While Jehovah sits up there on his throne, and the other more cautious JWs sit on their thrones and look down at the person who decided to taste and see that Jehovah is good. Well, they're living with their wife and their kids in the back of someone's garage. And they're begging for handouts to survive and keep going. In the book of Psalms, King David wrote that he had never seen a righteous man beg. Well, today I'm here to provide testimony to the contrary, brothers. I have seen truly righteous, God-fearing people begging. Begging in order to keep a roof over their kids' heads. I've also seen my own dad open our family's pocketbook again and again for some poor JW who knocked on doors instead of paying his bills. In fact, at any point during the 80s and 90s that I can remember, we had 8 people in our family. And we always had 10 or 12 people living at our house. Every point I can remember of my childhood, we had somebody living with us. Some washout. Some poor JW. And my dad was an elder for 30 years. And I've seen it. I've seen it all, friends. I've seen people bankrupted. I've seen cars getting repoed, service cars. I've seen people reduced to tears. But I don't feel sorry for those people. No, sir. And neither should you. Because it's their own fault. It's their fault. You see, after a year or so of pioneering and putting Jehovah first, and then being left in poverty, it's not because Jehovah, their God, failed them. It's because they failed Jehovah, their God. Their hearts were found to be deficient, as it were. You see, if their hearts had been complete towards Jehovah, they would not have been allowed to totter. Jehovah would surely have blessed and made successful their efforts. They would be dressed in brand new preppy clothing, just like the people in the magazines. They would have a nice modern house filled with modern appliances, as we have learned from Awake magazine. And it turns out that they thought they were putting faith in Jehovah, but instead, they were learning a powerful and humiliating lesson. They learned that they failed Jehovah. in two ways. They didn't believe in him enough, and they didn't wait on his saving power long enough. And it turns out to be a real lesson for the whole congregation. They get to see what failure looks like. They get to see firsthand someone who tried it out. Someone who takes Jehovah up on his offer and tries to live off him. And the same thing happens every time. Same two things happen every time. The elders explained to that person left in poverty that they didn't believe hard enough and they didn't wait long enough. Verse that somebody's going to throw out at me that is going to change everything. Sometimes people it's like ninja stars. They have these Bible verses and they're just going to toss them out there and see where they land. Just being completely honest with you because of how much I appreciate you. Send a message that says 1 Timothy Chapter 6, verse 1. The power of God is through prayer.
My zipper got caught!
Instead of being polite to you right now, because I respect you, and because we only have so much time on this earth, I am going to be honest with you. Because I like you. And I think you deserve it. I think you deserve me being honest with you. I want you to understand what's happening. I really doubt, I gotta tell you, I really doubt at this late stage in the game that there is a Bible.
I was looking for the bread store. Oh my god! Oh, I'm gonna start climbing. This is requiring a great deal of effort. There's a bread store at the top of this.
Everything that's in front of my eyes is fake. This is all dream sequence stuff to me. Every morning I get dressed. I go to McDonald's. But I'm going through the motions. I don't believe it's actually happening. I just don't know what else to do. It's all mechanized, like interactive wallpaper. It's, in my opinion, it's a very nice thought. But at this late stage in the game, I don't see how it could mean anything. I want you to understand what's happening right now. It's not that I don't believe in the Bible. It's not that I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe any of this is happening. None of this is real to me. When I walk down the street, I don't believe anything I see.